Hello, and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 636, coming to you from somewhere, nowhere. Oh my gosh, our camera just went out of style because let's go fix that. We are somewhere, nowhere, Rhode Island. We actually just landed back in Boston, came back stateside from Poland today. We flew with Lufthansa. The only issue is we got our bag got lost in Frankfurt, Germany, and so we have to have our suitcase mailed to our hotel in Austin, in Texas, as we get ready for consensus. We will be in New York tomorrow, and then we will be on the road to Austin for one of the biggest days, DAI Day, which is going to be a blast. We have a ton of interviews set up with amazing founders and projects to do live interview pieces. It's going to be amazing. We are super excited about the amount of speakers that are going to be at Consensus. But one of the really cool things is, and this might sound odd to some people, but the amount of politicians that are going to be there. Bringing politics into blockchain, is a dicey subject for some people. I didn't even know I was going to talk about this tonight. But at the same time, as much as it's naive to think that there isn't going to be regulation. And right now we see with like the Fit 21 bill, that there is a huge movement on Capitol Hill for regulation, and Fit 21 sort of separates, the powers of what's a security, what's not a security, what falls under the CFTC, what falls under the SEC. One of the biggest pieces of that bill that I think is sort of interesting is no more than 20% voting power on decentralization. So that we're going to see a lot of projects. Their idea for governance will be airdropping out tokens for a decentralized aspect. So there could be some really cool opportunities for people there. It will be a really interesting way to see if, some companies, how they go about to abuse it as well, and what comes out of that. But you've seen in the last couple of days an amazing time in Warsaw, and I had one of the most interesting Uber rides from my hotel room to the airport. A lot of people told me during the conferences and stuff like that, as we were talking like Bitcoin mining, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, there's like the biggest Bitcoin miner here in Warsaw, and he just." No one really knows who he is. No one knows who he is really, other than that he's here and that he has some like normal day job and just does whatever the heck he wants. And I'm not saying it was him, but my Uber driver and we started talking about, what it's like to live in Warsaw, what does rent look like? And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm not a good comparison, been here for a little bit, but I got, I completely own my place. It's like a 2-story, 3-bedroom, apartment, 136 square meters or 300 square meters or something like that. 136 square meters, 150 square meters sounds about right. And he's like private garage and everything like that. And so we were talking about rent and he's like, "Oh, people pay this." He's like, "But, I made sure I found a, protected community, and I live in the nice part of town and stuff." And he's like, "I just choose to do this for fun." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, like he's like retired, like Russian gangster or something like that, and, as I always do, I shift the conversation towards crypto, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I know a few things. I've been doing this for a while, long time, and so as I was getting out, I was like, "Hey, my bid, can I give you, any suggestions and any, advice? This is sort of what I do. And he's like, oh yeah, no, please tell me. And I was like, well, outside, what other, he's like, just Bitcoin, lots and lots of Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay, cool. And me, the degen that I am, I'm like, you might want to also expand to like Solana and Polkadot this cycle. I think that there's a lot of good opportunity there. And he's like, I've had my eye on the Polkadot, and he's like, but I like the play. You think there's still, and then we got into like technical. He's like, you think there's still room? What do yeah, but that was one of the most interesting Uber rides I've had in a while, and it was really cool. But what was really interesting is he's like, no, you need to, when you come back to Warsaw, you need to go to like, there's like 3 main museums. You need to go to them, and like you need to spend a day, go in like the middle of the day or like around 11. That's when like no one's going there, and you can have it to yourself. And he's like, you need to see these museums. They're beautiful. He's like, I go to them like as many times as I can each year, just because they have rotating shows within them. So yeah, but to wrap up an amazing week in Warsaw, Poland for the Next Block Expo, that was the greatest way to end it. And my bag didn't get lost in Poland. My bag got lost in Germany. So no shine down on the entire time in Warsaw, which was pretty amazing. I got to get my favorite kebab place one last time. And so we did the swag report. We have a bunch of paperwork left to go through and stuff like that, and some amazing partnerships to help build out. But if I were you, I would keep your eye on the communities that are growing out of Poland, out of Warsaw, because there's some, there might not be serious like money, like Silicon Valley money, but there's serious builders. And one of the things that I learned from a lot of people that were not from Warsaw, but the reason why they came to like NBX was because they were wanting to get their fingers into a lot of the dev shops for projects, because someone's like, oh, they're making some of the best devs out of here, which is a really cool thing to see. And for, to see recognition from outside countries and stuff like that, recognizing other countries is like, oh no, the devs here are bar none. So that's some really cool stuff to see, because the builders sort of build the backbone. I did get to meet these 2 kids that they were the only Solana kids there. They were building a project just like a cross between BonkBot, DBank, and Step Finance, but also with filtration on like wallet watching and stuff like that. So some really cool stuff is being built, and really like the overall energy. I love the overall energy. And the fact that my last event was hosted between Degen House and Polinikna Bank, huge building, one of those banks that are just like full of like art pieces and stuff like that. And so really interesting to see how crypto is taking a foothold in other countries, especially as they're getting ready for European regulation to come through with MiCA. We are going to be deep diving more on MiCA later on, as it's still about 7 months from full implementation, but it has been passed and ratified and everything like that. That now it's just waiting on the start date. But it works really hard on identifying and putting in regulations to support users and protect individuals within blockchain infrastructure. But it also gives companies rules that they can build off of, just sort of like how we're waiting here in the United States for something like that. What's really interesting with MiCA being a European regulation, it was heavily influenced and written in the US by Republic. Republic had a very huge hand in support of writing out MiCA. So can't say that the brain power isn't here in the US to do it good here in the US, because it is. So I just want to shout out to all of the builders, everyone that's doing some part in security, in some part of infrastructure. Hat off to you. literally hat off. But at the same time, if you are active and you don't mind mixing your crypto life with your political life or personal life at all, whether you're a Coinbase user or there's standwithcrypto.org. There's also Crypto Lawyer. I think John Deaton owns a website where you can contact your local representative about FIT 21 and that you're in support of it. So I hope you take the time to do that, make your voice be heard, or let your representative know that your voice should be heard and that this is a step in the right direction. And so with that, we bid adieu. Like I said, I've been flying now for 14 hours, I think, 15 hours. And I am exhausted as I need to get back on the road tomorrow and now left Boston today, now in Rhode Island, New York tomorrow, then day and a half after that, Dallas, and then Austin for consensus. And then because, we're crazy and we like to self-punish ourselves with horrible travel schedules, Singapore for Super AI. And I think it's now official to say, I think the ink will be not dry tomorrow, but will be signed tomorrow, I think. Lifted Initiative is going to be a big sponsor over at silver sponsor at Super AI in Singapore. And Super AI this will be its first conference, but it's hosted and created by the same team and minds behind Token 2049 to really find and specialize on that intersection between Web3 and AI. So this is going to be an amazing time, and I'm super happy for it. Wish you guys all the best, and gals and everyone in between. And as always, we end with two things. First off, though, I want to thank everyone from LinkedIn, Player One Taco YouTube, Degens YouTube, Twitch, Twitter video, Rumble, Kick, Unlonely, and Telegram and Discord, as well as a huge shout out to the entire Soul Media Tech family for joining. Please like, subscribe, view, comment. Love comments. Comments more than anything. Foxy Gamer going GM as we close out. But as always, we end with our words of wisdom, which are: a closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity can never come and knocking. If opportunity does come knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. With that, we want to wish you all a great night. Oh, look at that. This diamond shirt is looking awesome. Diamond. But with that, we end with the greatest, worst knock joke on the face of the planet. And that is knock.
There.
Who's there?